In this video, we will learn how to differentiate your Amazon product so that you stand out of the competition. Our guest today will be Sharon Evan. She is really pro when we talk about how to find a unique product, the one which will be able to compete with other competitors in your category. But before we continue, I wanted to mention that this session is sponsored by 5 companies. It's Getida. They help with Amazon FBA reimbursements, and they also can help you to claim money from Amazon, which Amazon owes you. So check the link below for a special offer. Also, Z is a complete compliance and customs and logistics service. They can help you to expand your Amazon business globally. Check the link below in the description as well. Unibrands, they built brands for on Amazon. So if you want to sell or make an exit with your Amazon brand, check them out. Link below. They will be happy to talk to you and maybe acquire your business. Helium 10 is an all-in-one software suite for Amazon and Walmart sellers. So check them out again in the description. And finally, it's Perpetua. They provide e-commerce for e-commerce sellers, the advertising software, which helps you to automate and intelligently run your advertising campaigns on Amazon, Walmart, and few other marketplaces. So check all our sponsors below in the description. And as I said, our guest today is Sharon Evan, and we will be hosting this session together with Lisette. She works with different Amazon brands.
Hi, everybody. Happy to have you here. And hi, Sharon, as well. We're super excited about your presentation. So before we go into that, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and let us know what you do in the Amazon space?
All right. First of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Sharon Evan, and I have been selling on Amazon since 2016. And in 2000, and I think it was 19 or 18, I started a YouTube channel. And from there, I then started working one-on-one with Amazon sellers on top of being a seller, but I am a seller first. And the reason why I mentioned the fact that I work one-on-one with sellers is because I don't live in the bubble of my own products, which is extremely important for why my presentation is so important today, because I've been exposed to so many products and their journey. And that's me in a nutshell. Very, very, very quick nutshell. I didn't mention, I'm also a co-host on the Seller Sessions podcast. And that's me.
Very cool. So we're super excited. We know the presentation is definitely very valuable for all level Amazon sellers, also for those who are already experienced. So let's go ahead and let's dive into your presentation.
All right. Okay, awesome. So as you can see, I named this Differentiate or Die and Stand Out from the Rest. Now, why I named it this way is because I really, really do believe that today we're in a place where you either differentiate your product or your brand, or you're not going to last. It's been like that, in my opinion, for at least the last couple of years, but it's even more evidential today. Now, before I start the presentation, we're focusing specifically here on differentiation. And I will say, though, I do believe that it goes hand in hand with branding. I don't really speak about branding within the presentation, maybe little touches of it, but it goes hand in hand with branding again. All right. So in the next slide, you will see. Awesome. What does product differentiation mean? Product differentiation is a marketing strategy that strives to distinguish a company's product or services from the competition. Examples of differentiated products might include the fastest high-speed internet service, which is what I really need today because my internet's a bit shaky, or the most gas-efficient electric vehicle on the market today. If you were to look at Google, that is what you'll see that product differentiation meaning would be. Next slide. All right, this is one of the favorite images that I've ever made in any slides, and this is what I strive to be. I always want to become a shark in a small pond rather than a small fish in a large pond. So what I'm trying to do is take your journey from the left. You can see a whole bunch of small little goldfish in a fish bowl. And what I really want to be, obviously a shark can't fit in a fish bowl, but what I really want to be is a shark in a small niche. If we take that into Amazon, we have large categories. So for example, let's just say within exercise, let's just look at yoga mats. And what I want to do is I want to dominate within a niche within yoga mats, for example, yoga mats for kids, and focus on a specific niche and dominate within that niche rather than sell one more yoga mat to everyone. And that's what we'll talk about in here. And the next slide, we will see that this is e-commerce. So what does physical product differentiation mean when it comes to digital shelving? When it comes to selling on Amazon or a marketplace similar to Amazon, your differentiation must stand out from the search page. If the shopper needs to click on your product to understand the differentiation, then you cannot rely, they cannot rely on your USP or differentiation point to get the click in the first place. So what I mean by that is, a lot of people, I say, well, what is the differentiation point here? And they'll say to me, well, my product is much better quality. That is not a differentiation point. Quality is a must. Having the best quality product out there is a must. It's not a maybe. It's not a differentiation point. It's something that you absolutely must have. And if quality is the best, is your only differentiation point, that means that the person needs to actually buy your product in order for them to know that yours is better quality than everyone else's. Or they need to click on your product, they need to read the reviews, and then they'll know it's better quality. Differentiation, it needs, in today's Amazon, needs to be seen from the search page. And when I stress this, it's really, really crucial. And another color, which I'll speak about later, is also not a differentiation point. Changing color is not enough. All right. You heard me say earlier, digital shelving. So the reason I say that is because we have physical stores where you can see what our shelves would look like on the left-hand side in a physical store, compared to on the right-hand side, what it looks like when we speak about digital shelving or having shelf space on Amazon in a search page. Obviously, people are typing in a search term, and then we have page one where, I don't know the exact percentage, but I would say probably at least 60 to 70% of the sales happens on page one. So when I'm saying that we need to make sure that our differentiation is seen from page one, the difference is if we look in a physical store, when they're looking at a product, they can see and feel and touch and whatever you want to call it, the actual product. They can take it off the shelf, they can look at it, they can use it, they can read the back, etc. And on Amazon, what we have is the main image, we have the title, we have the reviews, or we have the price. That's what they can see in the main page. And therefore, this is why making sure that your differentiation can be seen from the main page is crucial. All right, now it all starts with your buyer avatars. Who are you selling to? If you don't know who you're selling to, you're not going to be able to know how to differentiate your product. In order for you to know how to differentiate, you must know who your buyer is, what is important to them, what do they love and hate about this type of product, what is it that they need. And only once you know who your buyer avatar is, you can then know how to differentiate your product for that specific buyer avatar. And in the next slide, what you'll see is I, in the VIP section of Sellerfest, am sharing with you my buyer avatar sheet. It's, I can't remember how many pages long, but if you're struggling with knowing how to understand what do I mean when I even talk about a buyer avatar and what kind of questions to ask yourself and fill out, then I shared that worksheet within the VIP section of Sellerfest.
And actually, I wanted to mention, thank you very much, Sharon, for mentioning the VIP package. This session is part of the Sellerfest online virtual summit. And if you would like to get additional value, additional session from Sharon, We have one included in the VIP package, and the link you will find below in the description. But you can still follow this presentation, and there will be still a lot of valuable information shared, I'm sure. So we can continue with the next slide.
Yeah, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so who are my competitors? So the first thing before we want to understand how we can differentiate a product, like I said, was understanding who is your buyer avatar. The second thing we have to know is who are my competitors. You must know who your competition is inside out, which includes knowing exactly what it is that they offer, so that you can so that your differentiation will stand out from the crowd. So that means going on Amazon, obviously, and seeing what they offer on Amazon, going into their social media, going into going on Google, looking what else they offer elsewhere, literally knowing every single thing about your competitor, buying your competitor's products. Maybe part of their differentiation you can see from the search page, but when the product actually arrives, they also have a hidden product in there. Maybe they have some sort of hidden marketing materials in there. You need to be able to know everything there is to know about your competitors inside out. And that goes hand in hand with knowing your buyers inside out as well. Next slide, we're going to talk about the 5 different ways one could differentiate a product. So there are many different ways that you can differentiate a product. I'm going to talk about 5 different ways in this specific presentation. The first one is product packaging, which is not enough. Okay, it's not enough, but if you combine a few of the different things that I'm showing you here, then many times it is enough. Design change to the product, bundling of different products together, repurposing products to fit a different need or a different buyer avatar, which is probably something that is my forte. It's part of my specialty. I find a way to repurpose a product and sell it to someone else. You'll see what I mean in the presentation. Or changing the material of a product to fit a certain niche or to fit a certain type of need. And of course, all of the above or some of these combined together would be a great differentiation point. So moving on to the next slide regarding product packaging. Sometimes you can really stand out and also connect with your customers through very unique product packaging. This is also a great way to put across your brand identity. In many cases, having unique packaging can help your product to stand out or to what I like to call pop out in the search page, which could lead to more clicks, which could then lead to more conversions when they're actually on your listing. There are times where customers may judge the quality of a product according to the design or material of the product through the product packaging, and it can be a great differentiation point. In many cases, it is not enough, not enough of a differentiation, and there should be more to a differentiation point. However, let's explore some differentiated packagings. Moving on to the next slide, we will see what attention-grabbing packaging can look like. So imagine you're on a search page and you are looking for a paintbrush, a house type of paintbrush, and you see the one on the left, you see the one on the middle, and then you see the one on the right. It's literally almost the same type of brush as all the other brushes. The main difference here is simply the type of packaging that they have on the brush. Okay, it stands out. And it's very simple packaging. It's not that something that would cost a lot more money than the other packagings. Same thing with a very generic product like spaghetti, right? If you see spaghetti in a bag, 2 different bags, compared to where the spaghetti has been put into packaging that makes the spaghetti look like, or the macaroni or whatever, look like it is the hair of the woman that we see. Okay, so moving on to the next slide, we'll see more attention-grabbing packaging, which can stand out from the main page. So we have a normal piece of wool, or forgot what it's called, the type of wool that is, compared to the wool where you can see it looks like a sheep. Or we have which is basically for the attention, for disturbing the search page, for something that suddenly stands out compared to the rest. On the bottom left, we have the wooden utensils, which can look the way that it looks on the bottom left compared to the right, where it's literally the packaging makes it look like a type of tree, where the roots, etc., making it also look eco-friendly. A lot of these products are purposely like generic looking products as well, so that you can see how I took something boring and made it fun. Not I, obviously, these aren't my products, but how you can take something boring and make it fun. Then you'll see the bubble gum as an example, where you can see how you put that bubble gum into packaging the way that it makes it look like it's the teeth of the mouth. And then the gold eye masks on the bottom left, you can see, even though the gold eye masks on the bottom left, the bottom right, do have packaging, you can see how this brand with the purple packaging using that type of packaging has made it completely stand out compared to everyone else's. All right, moving on to the next slide, some of my favorite packaging we will see. Also, again, some of these are very generic products and some are not. If we look at I think it's a chipmunk. I'm going to guess that it's a chipmunk. It could be a squirrel, but you can see there that it's some sort of nuts, and the way that they've packaged it looks like it's the cheek of the animal. Or you can see the dog treats on the bottom, and you can see how, again, they look like the teeth of the dogs. On the top right, we'll see how it says, I have energy, I have glow, I have power, I have breath, I have time, I have stability. So that is a great brand. That's great branding on packaging of how they've named every single whatever that may be. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but let's just say if it's a drink or if it is serum or whatever it may be, the way that they've packaged it and put that type of branding on the packaging makes it stand out when you see it. We can see here the earphones, how you can see how a normal earphones would look compared to how they've made these earphones look like an actual music note. Okay, so sure you guys get the point. We can move on to the next slide. In the next slide, we will see some more packaging and how packaging can stand out. Most of these aren't necessarily from Amazon. I purposely like to take stuff from elsewhere to sort of get people thinking. The top right is something that went viral. It is buns, where they call it fit buns. They're protein buns, and you can see how they made the packaging again look like a six-pack in a guy's stomach. How it made it look like a six-pack. And it's also, I can straight away, because the first thing I did when I saw this, I think it was on TikTok or on Instagram, I was like, how did they make buns look like it can help you get a six-pack? And then it made me read how it said fit buns. Usually, that type of buns aren't usually something that will make you have a six-pack. So that's one. Two, you can take a really, really genetic product like the rope in the middle. The way that they've put that packaging and made it look like the beard also is very attention grabbing. The rest here you can also see, but even looking at the wine, how smart is the packaging of this wine? So the layer of it that they have there, the minute that you turn it around, it looks like you've given someone flowers, right? So just these small little things can really, really help you to also stand out. This is a great example for how the main differentiation here specifically, this is Zombie Beauty. They basically make the exact same beauty products as everyone else, but their twist and their differentiation is basically the way that they market and the way that they've branded their products. And you can see here, so on the top left, they call it the mummy pack. And it's basically like an actual mummified mummy, and how they've made the packaging there, and also their brand name. And then how you've got the witch pack, that basically it's just green face serum or something along those lines. But because it's green, they've called it the witch pack, and it stands out. The pumpkin pack, the zombie pack. Here, the only differentiation that they have is literally the way that they've branded their products, and it really, really stands out. And this brand is also on Amazon. All right, moving on to the next slide, we'll see how you can make packaging or make a product to be easy on the go. So when I was a little girl, my mom would feed me when I was a baby. I can't remember this, but if you asked her, she'd say it's true. She'd feed me Gear Bear. Today, what a lot of companies have done is they have, as you'll see on the top left, they have taken Gear Bear and basically put it into the type of packaging that makes it squeezable. Right? So this is also something that makes it easy for on the go. In the bottom, you'll see that there is a puzzle that they've basically made puzzle on the go. All they've done here is just change the way that the product is packaged, and now you can make it easy for on the go. The top right, the packaging turns into a drawer. And then it's a drawer box, but also the way that it actually looks, you can take it easily with you to hotels, and it makes it for easy on the go as well. Sometimes the packaging can be used as storage as well. One of my favorite examples is the one in the middle, which is the washing powder. And you can see how they've made the packaging actually look like a washing machine, right? Now, not only can you then use the washing powder as the packaging as storage, but also it's a type of box that you would actually keep, and then you would go and buy more and put it in there. It also helps a lot with branding. Another great example is GHD, which is a hair brand. And you can see that they added as part of their packaging. Technically, their packaging here is the sleeve that goes over it. But what they've done is it's a hairdryer, and they've added to it a case. And the case is also the actual packaging. And you can also, then makes the product portable. You can take it with you anywhere you go. On the left, you'll see there are cotton pads that also come inside of I think it's like a bamboo type of circle packaging there, the round bamboo packaging there, which can also be used to store it. And that's what the product actually comes inside of. The Pokemon cards as well. My son's obsessed with Pokemon, and that's full of cards. And a lot of the times I would prefer to buy him the Pokemon cards that come inside of a case so that I don't have a mess in my house. Or a lot of the times selling something that comes in the type of packaging that can be used for storage is also a great differentiation point. Pizza Hut in Japan, they basically added forgot what the little tables that usually have in the little pizza thing. They made it so it can turn into a projector. So you can take the actual packaging, put it on your phone, and then it projects a movie or whatever it is that you're looking at on the wall, right? Which is, again, taking the packaging and making it also functionable. More examples, if we move on to the next slide, we'll see here on the top left, that is like it's little dolls that are basically sold in packaging that then turns into a little dollhouse. Or the chips, you can see the chips, the minute that you rip the top part of it, it then becomes a bowl. Or on the bottom right, the pasta, it's a slides full of pasta today. The pasta, we can see that the packaging there then tells you exactly how much pasta you need for one serving or for two servings. Or no one really buys Corona beer anymore. But for example, Corona beer, they turn their packaging into a game. A lot of the times when people drink, they can then, use the beer bottle caps as a game. Another one of the examples is on the top. I don't know what the product is for kids. It's some sort of product for kids, but the packaging then turns into a mask that the kids can put on. Or we can see also, I think it's jam on the bottom, the green product. We can see how there the packaging turns into a kid's game as well. And also on the left, you can see how it's butter and the top of it then turns into a knife. So taking packaging that can also have an actual function that you can show the functionality of the packaging as well from the main image. Moving on to the next slide, we'll see more packaging that functions as well. On the bottom left, it's pencils basically, and the bottom part is some sort of grip tape that then can be used as a sharpener to sharpen the pencils. The coaster box, the packaging itself, when you pull it apart, turns into coasters. And for the cup, so the product is a cup, and then the packaging itself turns into coasters, which is an awesome differentiation, and gives functionality to the packaging. And then on the top left, we can see how the phone the packaging there is for a different use, but I loved how they basically, the minute that you put the phone inside of it, it holds your phone for you. I have my phone on a stand right now, but also this specifically turns it, they call it into, I can't remember what they called it. It's like the easiest calendar or something like that.
I think we have a question. Yeah, let's see. We can ask, of course. Let's see. What do you think of differentiating Amazon products by searching on Etsy or Pinterest that have different designs, material, style, and bring it over to Amazon? How can we confirm it to be fit?
Yeah, so there's a lot to look into this as well. Like, obviously, this is just the packaging part. I'm also going to speak about design, styles, and materials in the remaining time that we have in the presentation. It's hard to answer these questions without knowing what the product is. It's hard to answer these questions without understanding the niche. Sometimes it's, you'll find a differentiation point on Etsy, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, whatever, Facebook groups, and it could make absolute sense. But at the end of the day, it has to make sense for the buyer avatar. And at the end of the day, there also has to be keywords that make sense. Sometimes our differentiation point relies on keywords, and then the keywords have to exist. And sometimes the differentiation point is simply from, let's just say, a design or whatever it may be, from our own research about the buyer avatar. So at the end of the day, your buyers have to care about your differentiation point. If they don't care about your differentiation point, then it doesn't matter. That's the quickest answer I have, and I can think about more in depth towards the rest of the slides.
And while you're having a short break, I wanted to mention that if you enjoyed this session, don't forget to click like below this video and also subscribe to Orange Klik's YouTube channel for more content like this, if you like. And we will move on to the next slides in a second.
All right, cool. I can see there's more questions. We'll answer them later on.
Yes.
All right. So we finished with the packaging differentiations. We're now going to move on to design of the product. I drink a lot of water. I don't know why. All right. So you don't need to be an inventor to sell on Amazon or to sell physical products in general. I sold off Amazon. I've been selling online since I was 15. So I've been selling off Amazon for a long time. On Amazon specifically for 6 years. So when I say physical products in general, even if you don't sell on Amazon, you don't have to be an inventor. You can take a product that already exists, but change the design to appeal to a specific buyer avatar. This is not as complicated as it looks or sounds, as most of the time the concept of the product already exists, and you are now simply changing the way it looks or feels. Sometimes you'll need a graphics designer or a sketch artist or a CAD technician to help with the design works, and other times your supplier will be able to use their own internal team. Now, I put that in the slide, but you got to be careful there. I'm not going to focus here on anything to do with sourcing. I've been sourcing and product development for most of my adult life, but I will just say the minute that your supplier is making the designs for you, take into consideration that they then own the materials or the molds or whatever it may be. So just know that. Of course, the minute that you pay for the molds, you own the molds. But what I'm saying is I prefer to come with my own design and my own work, my own CAD work, my own whatever it may be, and send it to them rather than them make it for me. Things to consider when it comes to changing the design of the product. You may want to get a design patent on your design to protect your IP. Does this always make sense? No. Okay, no, it doesn't always make sense. Design patents are complicated. I've filed multiple design patents. I'm not a lawyer, but in my experience, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, One of my clients recently had a copycat basically copy their product that is design patent pending, and we're able to get their social media Instagram account kicked off. I even shared it. If you follow me on Instagram, I shared that with my Instagram followers. So design patents can help you also off of Amazon, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to get copycats, because you may. It's not that difficult to get around a design patent. Number two, you may need to get your own mold made and need to make sure that this is within your budget. Changing a design of a product, depending on what the product is, okay, may also mean that you may need to obviously get a mold. Molds can be expensive, sometimes not. Sometimes you can get a 3D printed mold. Sometimes you can get 3D printing in general in the beginning, etc. I'm not going to get into that now. You can use community groups around your products, like Facebook groups, which is probably one of my favorite things. I find out where my buyer avatars hang out, and then I hang out with them wherever they hang out. So if I'm going to be selling a camping product, I'm going to get into a whole bunch of camping groups, and I'm going to see what I can learn about my specific buyer avatars there. If I'm selling a product for gamers, I'm going to get into a whole bunch of online gamer groups, and I'm going to learn what I can about my buyer avatars there. And many, many, many times, you may have heard me speak about this in the past, many times that's how I also find my differentiation point right in that group. You can also use things like PickFu or other resources to verify if your product idea makes sense, if your design idea makes sense for your product, buyer avatar, etc. on Amazon. Making a major design change to a product can delay speed to market. This is something that you need to take into consideration, which, yeah, I just said that. All right, cool. We can move on to the next slide. I never share my clients' design changes or my own design changes. So everything here is also strategically, not necessarily on Amazon, but you can see very, very simple and even sometimes ridiculous design changes that are genius. One of my favorite design changes, which is ridiculous but very smart, is on the bottom left, anti-theft lunch bags. Okay, they're the same little lunch bags as everyone else, only these have little green stains on them to make them look like mold so that no one wants to steal your food. Okay, so may sound funny to you, but apparently that's a thing, specifically in America, where people may take their food to work, etc., and people may steal their lunch. So even though it's funny, it's also a great simple change there. On the top right, we can see the popsicles. Simple popsicles. Imagine that you're on the beach with your kids and you have a normal popsicle, or you have a popsicle where the stick, the end of it turns into a little design of something, a dinosaur, a unicorn, doesn't matter what, and then the kids can play with the sticks in the sand. Such a ridiculous little change, but it's very, very simple design change. Obviously, that's not an Amazon specific product. I'm just trying to get your minds to start working and seeing how they didn't invent a new popsicle. What the main change here is the stick. On the bottom, we have soap that has been turned to look like a popsicle. In the middle, we have a utensil holder, and you can see how they changed the design to look like a crab is holding it. We have here a sleeve for coffee, like a coffee sleeve or a cup sleeve. And you can see how cup sleeves already existed. Leather cup sleeves already existed. What they did here was somebody added a little chain to it, and now it's actually something that has been on TikTok recently quite often. More design changes. So whoever invented or designed the water bottle that we can see there, they didn't invent water bottles. They took water bottles that already exist and then added a place where you can hide in their cash, credit cards, whatever. And you can see the design change from the main differentiation, from the main image of looking at this. The dumbbells. So they're not actually dumbbells, obviously. That's juice turned into dumbbells. Okay, it's like a ridiculous little change, but it's still a design change. It's not a normal water bottle. They changed the design of the way the product looks. Next slide. One of my favorite examples. So if you were to tell someone that you're going to sell a coffee cup on Amazon, most people that don't think outside the box would say to you, but coffee cups are so saturated. But if you were to come and say that to me, I'd say, okay, who are you selling coffee cup to? Okay, so you can see the coffee mugs at the top. That's what a simple coffee mug may look like. But then you can see the owl coffee mug for Harry Potter lovers, for example, or for people who are obsessed with owls. I have an obsession with owls. I have owl decor everywhere. Okay, and I'm the type of person that looks for that. On the bottom left, that's $1 million product. That is a coffee mug that has been turned to look like a basketball, where basically, or a hot chocolate mug, where basically you use the marshmallows and try and put them in the hoop. Game over. That is a coffee mug that is specifically targeted at gamers. Anyone who does a little bit of research, like me, who does product research all the time, okay, knows that gaming is something that has blown up completely in the last 5 to 10 years. And there are many, many different keywords around gift for gamers and things like that. That is a cup that completely stands out. So yes, it's a coffee mug, but you would never go after coffee mug keywords. You would go after things like gift for gamers, etc. Yes, I saw that Earl said poop cup. There are also people that are obsessed with poop, right? Or not actual poop, but like the poop emoji or unicorn poop and things like that. So yes, even that really, really stands out. You then have Queen Bee Mini Me. So a little set, all you have there is a little cup, a larger cup. It says Queen Bee and Mini Me. And then now you have a new mum product, like a gift for new mums. You can see that there's also on the bottom right, you'll see that there's a mug that looks like it's basically a gift for golfers. I'll stop here. You guys get the point, but this is where I've basically changed the design of a product. It's actually, this specific slide should be both for the design of the product and also repurposing, because you can also take a product and repurpose it to a different type of buyer avatar. All right, next slide. I won't spend too much time on the next slide. It's very, straightforward. You can see how you can take a simple product and just change the design of it. Okay, so a good example there is the gold eye masks, the gold iPads. There's millions of different, not millions, but thousands of gold iPads on Amazon. And you can see how someone basically took a little, made the end of it look like a little star. The wine decanters or the whiskey decanters or whatever you want to call them, you can see how you can target a very specific buyer avatar by changing the type of design of them. The pizza slicer, you can see how then also you've changed by changing the design, and everything can be seen from the main image. Next slide. All right. What we have here at the top is a lot of different watering cans. Okay, but how, again, we're talking about design and how changing the design of a product. So you didn't invent the watering cans. Watering cans already exist, but you can take a watering can and make it look like a unicorn design. And now you're selling a product also for little girls that love unicorns. Or for example, you'll see the one that's pink and it has the spray at the top and also the little nozzle for the water to come out. That's a 2-in-1. Whoever did that's a genius, because if you were to look on Amazon today, you'll see that a lot of people, they'll buy bundles of the spray bottle with the watering can. Someone basically just added the little thing at the top and you've got a 2-in-1. Or on the right-hand side, you can see how, so whoever invented that product, it's technically half an invention, but they didn't invent watering cans, but they did invent this watering can where it's a portable watering can. So whoever made that, it's also very smart, because packaging, sending a watering can from China to America is very expensive, because watering cans have a lot of volume to them, and volume is extremely important when it comes to how many units of a product can you fit into a carton. So whoever also invented that watering can, it's flat when you send it. So it's also very, very smart. Moving on to the next, we'll see more examples of how you can just change the design of a product. You can move on to the next slide and you'll see. I'll focus on the next slide specifically just on the gnomes. Okay, plenty of garden gnomes on Amazon, but you can change the design of a garden gnome to focus on a very specific avatar or a very specific thing. If we look at the let's focus on the gnome on the bottom left. You'll see that that's a gnome where it says gnome sweet gnome instead of home sweet home. And you can change the hat that's on top of it. So you can have a hat for different occasions, a hat for Halloween, the hat for July 4th, or the hat for Christmas. Okay, they basically like very, very smart differentiation point. If you were to look at keywords when it comes to garden gnomes on Amazon, you'll see that there are plenty of searches on garden gnomes and all sorts of different ones that sell well. And all you do is change the design of it. All right, moving on to the third way that you can differentiate products, product bundling. Bundles can be a great way to differentiate a product. However, the bundle must make sense. Some great ways to find products to bundle together are using the frequently bought with on products. Customers also bought, Etsy and Pinterest as well, and other sponsored products on a listing. Lots of other ways as well. It has a lot to do with also knowing your buyer avatar and understanding your buyer avatar. Moving on to the next slide, there's a few different examples on bundles. Because we're a little bit running out of time, I'm going to go through this really quickly. So what you'll see here are basically all of these products already existed, and whoever, apart from the one on the bottom left, that is basically taking a few different like fairy products for gardens and bundling them together. But everything else, all these products already exist. And basically by bundling them together, you can focus on a very specific buyer avatar. If we look at the top right, for example, so if you were to look at products specifically for nurses, okay, nurses in America, from my research, have to purchase all of their own products. They need to purchase their own, to pay for and buy their own stethoscope cases, even their own, the little pen things with the light. Everything they have to buy themselves. They're not given it by hospitals in America. So there's a lot of search volume around nurses, specifically on Amazon, and different nurse products. So if you were to look at any one of the products that you'll see on the top right there, you would see that a lot of them are frequently bought together. So for example, creating a little nurse gift set or whatever it may be, products that nurses need that you can see that are consistently also purchased together with. I'm not telling you to sell a stethoscope, but there are lots of people looking, for example, for a stethoscope case, for the bandage scissors, for the pen lights, etc. All of those products already exist. What you can basically do is make either a possible small little design change and bundle them together, or take them as they are, bundle them together, and Also, for examples, the candles with the matches. So people will say you can't sell matches and things like that on Amazon, or it's complicated. Yeah, it's complicated, but that person's doing it because that's a product from Amazon. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide because there's more examples. Okay, this is a no-brainer example of how someone has basically gone in and taken a certain type of chef's knife and bundled it together with a chopping board. Okay, so if you were to go on to YouTube, because you can see I put some YouTube sample examples there. If you were to go on to YouTube, you'll see that every single influencer who's speaking about these types of chef knives is always using a chopping board. No one had created a bundle where they were selling this type of chef knife with a chopping board. So these are the types of no-brainer examples. Moving on to the next slide. I can see your questions, guys. I'll answer them at the end. In the next slide, we'll see gift sets. Gift sets are a huge thing on Amazon if you know how to find them. Okay, so these are just some examples of different types of gift sets going after different types of buyer avatars. Now, 90% of these products are products that basically whoever's made them has taken them, written something different on it, changed something about the design, but there is no major tooling or some major manufacturing that goes on here. Okay, if we look at the cancer gift set, Those types of tumblers already exist. Socks already exist. Everything in there already exists. The blankets, they already exist. All they've done is changed what's written on the specific sock, what's written on that tumbler, what's written on the blanket. They've basically gone and done research and seen what kind of products people that go through cancer may need. So for example, if you were to do more research, you'll see that, for example, hospitals are always cold. So if you're someone who's going through chemotherapy, you will always be cold inside of a hospital, which is why they have a blanket in there, etc. This is where I said in the beginning, understanding your buyer avatar and knowing who your buyer avatar is will help you to then go in and create, for example, the bundles here. The male gift set, that specific man box, is a man box that was created for like survival type of guys, right, etc. Everything here is more or less products that already exist that have just been bundled together and made into a gift set, sold to a very specific buyer avatar. And you can do this in so many different niches. All right, moving on to the next example. I'm going to take a sip of water. Sometimes a great differentiation point is simply to sell a product that is already sold, even if it is saturated, but to focus on a totally different buyer avatar than most, or to find a new purpose for the product. In many situations, this can be quick and easy product to make as it already exists. And initially, all you're doing is focusing on a much smaller or different buyer avatar. This is one of my favorite ways to bring products to market, where I take something that exists and I put a spin on it and I sell it to someone else. So you have normal hair ties in this example. You write on those hair ties bride, and now you have bridal shower favors. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Some more repurposing examples. So you can see gardening seeds, package them different. You're selling them as party favors. You can see a diaper bag, change the way it looks. You can turn it into a daddy diaper bag. Okay, you have a normal belt, change the buckle of it, sell it to people that care about metal-free leather belts, right? Next, in the next slide, we'll see how the bath bombs, you'll see bath bombs and how basically they shrunk them, so squash them and turn them into shower bombs. The watering plants, the watering cans that I showed you earlier as well. You add to it some, what are they called? Fairy lights. And you've now got a decor product that people were looking for as well. Portable bidets, make them pink. They're turned into a peri bottle, which there are women that are going through postpartum that would need that. Moving on to the next slide of repurposing a product. You have a normal clock. You change the way it looks. You then have a kid's routine clock. You have a normal clock, you change its functionality, and you have a reminder when to pray clock. Again, normal clock, change the way that it looks, and you then have a dementia clock, a clock specifically for people with dementia. Normal clock, turn it into a game. Next slide. Another example for repurposing a product. This example kind of may remind you of the cups. You tell someone you're going to sell a candle on Amazon, they'll laugh at you and they'll be like, candles are so saturated. I won't, because I would say to you, okay, who are you going to sell a candle to? Okay, so on the top right, if anyone knows what kawaii is a keyword that is searched for on Amazon like 300,000 times a month, something like that. It basically means cute in Japanese, and it is like a whole thing, mostly for gamer girls, but also just a thing for people that love cute decor. And you'll see that that is a kawaii candle. It's basically a candle that looks like cereal. Funny, but people buy that kind of shit. On the bottom right, you'll see candles for succulent lovers. On the top, you'll see candles for makeup lovers like me. As a candle, you'll see christening candles, you'll see baby shower candles, you'll see candles specifically for men, you'll see massage candles, candles for people who have lost a loved ones, funny candles, okay, the one at the bottom, I love you for your personality, but that is a huge bonus. That's like ridiculous, and you guys may be like, oh my god, it says a swear word on it or whatever, but like that product makes so much money on Amazon. Okay, so taking a product, giving it a twist, and selling it to a different type of buyer avatar. This is awesome innovation ideas for sellers, which could open doors for creative suppliers alike. 100%. This is my thing. All right, next slide, repurposing products. You could sell craft bags, or you can put a twist on them and sell them to a very specific buyer avatar. So on the bottom left, we have craft bags as groomsmen favors bags. On the bottom right, we have superhero bags for kids' birthdays. On the bottom, we have thank you bags for whatever it may be. And then we have for unicorn parties. These can also make specific types of bags for, you know, actual people that sell in stores, etc. Next slide, repurposing a product. Also a fun example. So duct tape exists, but you take duct tape and you make it like masking tape, okay? Take masking tape and you make it look like a road, and now you have a product for kids to basically play with their little cars on the floor with that, you know, turns it into a road. You take the masking tape and you make it glow in the dark, and now you have glow in the dark tape for parties, whatever, it doesn't matter. You take duct tape and you put unicorns on it, and you now have masking tape for kids. You take masking tape and you write bedroom, fragile, living room, blah, 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 and you now have masking tape for people who are moving house. Okay, so taking products that already exist, but repurposing them to focus on a very specific buyer avatar. It only has one purpose for that specific buyer avatar. Next slide is one of my favorite. I mentioned earlier the kawaii niche. So if you were, like I said later, you're all welcome to go do this. Go look at the word kawaii and see how many searches it has on Helium 10, whatever you want to look at. Kawaii is a whole niche around cute stuff, basically. If I wanted to, if you look here, I am in a whole bunch of different kawaii Facebook groups. This specific Facebook group has 43,000 members in it. Okay, mostly American, not only, but 43,000 people in it. And this is a post that somebody put up at the time of when I took a screenshot. You'll see it's basically pink garbage bags. That's what it is. 66 comments, 163 shares, and 1,000 likes. Okay, all for a freaking pink garbage bag. So I said, okay, going to the next slide. I said, I wonder how I could take a simple garbage bag, not make any major change to it, basically, but go after totally different keywords and sell it to a very specific buyer avatar. So I'm no longer looking at selling, for example, pink garbage bags, but selling specifically to the kawaii related keywords. So if you were to look at pink bags, you'll see that they're frequently bought together, for example, with pink garbage bins, right? So if I was, for example, to take the bags, take the bin, put it into a box that's like all kawaii looking, etc., I can go after keywords like kawaii aesthetics, kawaii decor, gifts for kawaii lovers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not even going to go after keywords like pink garbage bags or pink garbage bin or whatever it is. That's what the main keywords that most of the sellers would be going after. I'm looking at a niche. I'm looking something very niche-y, and I'm repurposing a product that's being sold to everyone and repurposing it to a very specific buyer avatar. So I'm going after specific buyer avatar, kawaii girls. I'd be selling a trash can and bag set, but targeting the kawaii related keywords. I could find many day-to-day products, but make them fit to this specific buyer avatar and repurpose it to them specifically and build a whole kawaii brand full of basic products and use the Facebook groups to help me launch it as well. And if you look at the next slide, you'll see how I can take very generic products and sell them to a very specific buyer avatar. So again, if you were to tell any Amazon expert, whatever, tell them you're going to sell bed sheets. But bed sheets are so, saturated. But if you were to say you're going to sell specifically bed sheets with strawberries or whatever it may be that the kawaii lovers love, and you're not even going to go after the bed sheet keywords, but you go after kawaii bedroom decor, blah, 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 etc. And yes, the buying intent there isn't 100% because you're not necessarily going after bed sheet keywords, but it's such a small niche with huge demand, but such a small niche where you're focusing again on a very specific buyer avatar that if you get it right, you can make a lot of money. Okay, again, if you're to tell someone you're going to sell, what are they called? Clothes hangers. Okay, again, someone would probably be like, oh my God, that's so saturated. But you make clothes hangers and sell them specifically to kawaii lovers, and it could do very well. And the rest of these products are all generic products, but you focus on a very specific buyer avatar with very specific keywords and make the product specifically for them. And you've repurposed a product to someone very specific. Next slide, we're going to see how someone's basically turned a normal pizza board into a pizza night, game night. Okay, so taking a product and focusing on something very specific, on a very specific buyer avatar, or taking the next slide, taking a product that this is both repurposing and a different design. I used it in both slides because it really does both. Okay, you can see how there's plenty of pizza boards, but here specifically this one, it has many different purposes. One, you can use it as a plate. Two, you can also use it to serve things on a table. And you can go after very 3 or 4 different types of buyer avatars or just one specific buyer avatar. All right, the last examples are changing materials or ingredients of a product to fit a cause or a need. Now, I don't love this example, nor do I love the packaging example as the only differentiation. It's very product and niche specific, okay? It depends on the niche. It depends on the product. But in many cases, you'll need to take some of these things that I've spoken about and make all and try and put them all into as part of your differentiation strategy. As the world becomes more and more eco-friendly, certain materials may stand out more to a certain type of buyer just because they believe in that specific cause. Also, sometimes you may see a product that is made out of one type of material, but you know that if it was made from a different type of material, then it could be stronger, better, more durable, waterproof, whatever it may be, which fits the need of a very specific type of buyer. Next slide. So here are some examples of materials that would change. Now, lots of these are bad examples, obviously, because I'm trying to not, reveal anyone's products. Okay, but for example, beeswax food wraps, terrible product in my opinion, like to launch today, right? But the way that this niche was created was basically finding a different something else from glide wrap, right? On the bottom right, you can see that is a silk pillowcase. All right, and you could also sell that specifically as also an anti-aging product. Silk also helps with anti-aging, supposedly. Making a vegan leather notebook, okay, or etc. You get the point here. But looking at material changing is also sometimes an opportunity as well. Next slide. Okay, and the next slide here. Yep. So here we see one of my favorite examples, a few of them actually, is the unicorn puzzle. Okay, so they've taken that puzzle and added a magnetic, made it magnet basically. And now this product can also be used also when traveling with kids, right? So they didn't invent puzzles. They didn't make a major change. All they did was just make it magnetic. On the left, we can see waterproof, clear playing cards. Okay, so for example, great differentiation, very smart. By making it waterproof, it can also be played in the pool. On the bottom left, we have the silicone wine glass, saturated product, but can also be, targeted to a very specific buyer avatar. But anyway, by changing it, it means that if the changing materials, A, it could become eco-friendly, possibly, and B, if it falls on the ground, it's not going to shatter. So it's also great for parties, etc. On the top right, we can see how people have made green tea clay masks, for example. So just changing the specific ingredients for a specific cause or whatever it may be. Or in the middle at the bottom, we have the little wooden elephant, okay, as a Montessori product, etc. Sometimes you may see So Montessori is a huge thing. And now that home education's become big and Montessori products in general have become big, you may see a product that's made often out of plastic for kids or for babies. And maybe you can change the materials to make it more wooden, etc. Have the Montessori look to it, etc. Next slide. We'll see on the top left, gift wrap that grows. So there's flowering seeds inside of that gift wrap. Genius, in my opinion. On the right-hand side, pencils that the tip of them will grow a tree or something. You put it in the ground. Pampas grass, very, very like a product that's just, I don't know if it's a fad or if it's a trend, but something that suddenly heaps of people are selling. But for example, specifically a faux fake pampas grass, basically for people that can't be near real pampas grass, or the metal straws, or the metal free leather belt that I used earlier, using it again here, etc. Bamboo cups for kids. So sometimes changing the material is a great differentiation. And the next slide. That's me. And we're done. Bang on an hour. Good on me. I did it. Lizette, you're on mute.
Just a second, sorry. So I was also waiting for the next slide. So when it came up as yours, I was also surprised because I was already waiting for the next good example. So thank you so much for this presentation, and everybody who enjoyed the information Sharon shared, then definitely hit like to this video as well, so Sharon will see your feedback as well. So you actually prepared one presentation more, the VIP presentation, and you will, in that presentation, you will teach sellers how to work out the buyer avatar. So could you a little bit introduce that presentation as well?
Yeah, so it's a worksheet more than a presentation. It's a worksheet that you can go through to help you to learn a little bit more about your buyer avatar, basically. It's, pretty straightforward, but I go in there and I explain to you how to go through it.
So basically, it's like a step-by-step guide that would help sellers to get started with grading that buyer avatar for themselves.
It's like a worksheet. It's a worksheet for basically helping you figure out, learning more about your buyer avatar, who your buyer avatar is, that will then help you also with everything else I taught here to learn how to actually differentiate your product for that buyer avatar.
Yeah, great. And everybody who wants to check this package, VIP package, which we prepared together with Sharon and many other speakers from Seller Fest Online, check the link below in the description and you can get access to VIP package. Of course, it's an investment, but we hope that it will be very useful for Amazon sellers. And we have at least 10 questions, and the people are already very happy about the presentation. Very useful, Franco says. George, this helped I don't even know what this means.
Reinvigorate my product search hunt. Awesome.
All right. Okay, so let's see.
Do you want to go through the questions?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go. So the first question is actually from John. So he's asking, what about packaging a large fitness products like treadmills?
I don't know if product packaging there matters. I don't think the buyer avatars care about the product packaging as a differentiation point. I feel like a treadmill is a product where functionality and the design, because treadmills are something ugly. And, as someone that has or used to have a treadmill in the house. So I think like it's more about the design and the functionality. It's one of those products where I don't think the packaging with differentiation in mind is what matters. I think the packaging should be more something me as a seller, I should think about of how can I optimize the packaging to the best of my ability so I can bring down the cost of shipping. So I don't think packaging for a treadmill, in my opinion, matters on an Amazon level specifically.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. And he also asked, is there any software to get ideas for differentiation?
John probably doesn't know me, doesn't follow me. John, you should follow me because I I'm not a software lover. So yes, I use Helium 10. It is a software that I use for certain things, but most of my creativity and anything like the ideas I showed you comes from in here and understanding my buyers. The minute I understand my buyers and the minute that I understand the competitors and I understand my buyers' needs, it helps me to then understand what sort of differentiation I can bring to the market. And there's no software that does it for you. Like, yes, softwares are helpful, but sometimes you've got to do the actual hard work, and that's how you come up with good ideas.
All right,
That's my opinion.
Thank you, Sharon. And Parmit, it's similar question. So how does one come up with such good, nice packaging ideas when you are not a creative person? Maybe you just have to try, and then it will click your mind.
Parmit knows me well. He's in my course, but hi, Parmit. The main answer I would answer here is you don't have to be the creative person. You just need to understand your buyers and what their needs are, and you can hire someone to make you, great packaging. The best thing that I would do if I wasn't a creative person, which is difficult for me to imagine because I am, but if I wasn't, I would go and get a few different examples, not necessarily just from my niche, but examples of packagings for other products for my buyer avatars. And I would show that to my amazing graphics designer that I work with. And I would give them that as inspiration and tell them a little bit about my buyers, what my branding idea is, and then let them make the packaging design.
All right. The next question is from Dave. From your experience, how quickly do these packaging ideas get copied on Amazon?
It depends on the niche. It depends on many things, but I'm into building brands. I'm not into selling random shit online. So I don't look for products where I'm trying to just sell a product. There's always branding in mind. There's always an experience, and it always fits. My brands are always for a very specific buyer avatar. So I will say that I did a rebranding about 2.5 years ago. One of my beauty brands, specifically, we got into the niche with just the only differentiation. And I could get away with this back then. I don't think you can get away with it today. Okay. But back then I could get away with it. The only differentiation was the branding, was the fact that it was luxurious. That's it. Everyone else in our specific niche was healthy. Their packaging was all white with greens and white with light pink and white with light blues, and everything was healthy. There was nothing luxurious with black and metallic golds. And that was the only differentiation that we had done at the time because we could get away with it. And probably it was around 2019 or something like that. A whole bunch of people started copying us with similar packaging, and we actually did a rebranding and we changed our entire branding. So that's specifically because that was the only differentiation. So a lot of this is from my experience where I said that's not enough. Packaging isn't enough 90% of the time. I got away with it for about 3 years until people started copying me, but I also started selling when things were easier. So my answer is always have branding in mind. Don't only sell on Amazon, also build social media, etc. If your product can be social media worthy, that can help you a lot. And then you don't have this problem where you're like, oh, when am I going to get copied? Because you're just innovating and bringing out new products as well for that specific buyer avatar. Hope that helped, Dave.
Yeah, we hope as well. So we have more questions. So what is the best strategy to use in main image to get more clicks in the first place?
To show whatever it is that your differentiation is in your main image to the best of your ability. And it's so product dependent that it's impossible to answer this question without seeing your niche, without seeing your product, without understanding. But what I would say, without understanding the product, but what I would do is write down to yourself on a piece of paper your main differentiations and the main benefits of your product. And then together with a very good graphics designer or photographer, figure out how do you show those things in one image on a white background, because 95% of the time you're going to be white hat, and then you're probably going to do within TOS, so it has to be on a white background. And you can also split test it.
Yeah, and actually, I think our next question is asking something about split testing. So would you recommend doing a split testing before finalizing the design of the products, targeting the same buyer avatar?
So here's the thing. I like PickFu. I think PickFu is great, but not necessarily is your buyer avatar on PickFu. So when you say split testing, it depends what you're talking about. And if you're talking about a specific design, there are so many things that you can do. You can 3D print a design if it's something that requires a mold. For example, if your product is injection molded or whatever it may be, sometimes you can 3D print your product for proof of concept and sell it on Amazon or send it to people that are your buyer avatar to get feedback. There are so many things that you can do before you go in, because once you pay for a mold, let's just say you pay $15,000 for a mold and you didn't do what I just said, the tiniest little mess up that you had, I don't know how much I have to speak clean here because I swear a lot, but the tiny little F up that you have, that's another $15,000 for a new mold. So wherever your buyer avatars hang out, like I said, when I created a camping product, I went into a million different camping groups from a fake Facebook account that I created that was all about camping. And I asked all sorts of, in different places, different questions around, hey, what do you think about this? In order to get feedback. So yes, PickFu is an option, but to actually get it from your actual buyer avatars and the type of people you're making the product to is ideal. And the more feedback you can get, the better. And remember that 3D printing exists and a lot of people don't do that. And I have a lot of people that do 3D printing for proof of concept where possible. Not always is it possible.
All right, a few more questions. There is one question which we don't understand. How about throw pillow cover? Some idea? If Chuang Shu, you would like to rephrase, let us know.
So like a throw pillow is something very generic, but throw pillow, you make it super cute. Again, you can focus on kawaii. You put a unicorn on it, focus on little girls. Put a dinosaur on it, focus on little boys. Put a swear word on it, make it giftable. Put whatever, it depends, right? So yes, they're generic products, but you change the design of it and you sell it to a specific buyer avatar. So if I was to create now a humor brand, a brand all around humorous products, I'd basically be taking generic products and making specific funny stuff with a lot of swear words on it, which you can't use PPC for stuff with swear words unless you blur it out. Or if I was to create a whole brand for gamers, okay, heaps of products for gamers, and I wanted to make a throw pillow, my throw pillow may say on it game over and be glow in the dark, for example. Okay, so knowing the buyers, I know gamers, I'm not a gamer, but I've done a lot of research on gamers. They do a lot of, so this is where I say buyer avatars. This is why you should use my buyer avatar sheet. But understanding the buyers, gamers specifically, a lot of their gaming is done in the dark. So if I was going to make a gift for a gamer, and let's just say it was a pillow cover, for example, and it said game over, making it glow in the dark makes sense for that type of buyer avatar. So understand your buyers, you'll understand how to differentiate. Think outside the box. Don't do what everyone tells you to just go in a software and copy paste.
All right, some more teachings are required. Can we hire you for our products?
I do one-on-one coaching, so you can visit sharonevan.com for one-on-one coaching. And I also have a product research and sourcing course where I go in depth on this.
Some link from Sharon we have in the description for sure. I'm not sure if it's sharonevan.com, but yeah, you can find here.
That's all the places you can find me.
Yeah, so just reach out to Sharon and she will help you. All right, last two questions at least for now. Lisette?
Yeah, let's go ahead. So what's the difference between repurposing a product and design?
So I did say earlier that sometimes repurposing a product and the design is totally different. I mean, is the same, sorry. But I was basically showing two different things. But for example, with the pink garbage bags, I wouldn't change the design of the bag. I'm just changing the packaging of it, but because I'm repurposing and selling it to someone else. So when I looked at that water bottle that had like the space for the key and stuff, okay, so that to me is a design change rather than you are selling it to a specific buyer avatar, but it's not as much of a dramatic repurposing as like taking, for example, the hair ties and bundling them together with bridal on it and making it like a bridal shower gift. That's taking something super generic, just making a slight little design change, yes, but repurposing it and selling it to someone else, or a color change and selling it to someone else. but they're very similar.
Okay, perfect. And one last one, where did you find your graphic designer? Is Fiverr good for that?
My graphics designer is a woman called Milana. She is from Pixel Nuts Studio. You can go to Google and type in Pixel Nuts Studio. And where did I find her? She was a client of mine about 3 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you designed all of this on your products. And then I realized that she's a graphics designer. And then she made Pixel Nuts Studio today. Probably the best graphics designer I've ever worked with in my life. So, but no, I don't hire people on Fiverr. If I was to hire a graphics designer on Fiverr, there is a company called eMerchant on Fiverr. Their English isn't amazing, but Milana is on a different level. Milana is like my secret weapon. Not now, because I told you all about her, but she was my secret weapon before I told you.
Probably we should delete this part of the video because you will lose Milana very soon. All right, so Parmit says, difficult to estimate demand for a specific customer avatar. Wonder how she does.
Parmit, aren't you the same Parmit that's in my like course? You should know this, but it's not difficult to estimate demand when you know how to do it. So, for example, when we spoke about a specific buyer avatar, if I wanted to make a gamer's mug, a mug as for gamers, okay, that looked like a Game Boy or said Game Over or whatever, it's very easy to go and see how much demand there is for gifts for gamers. If I wanted to create a gift box for cancer patients, okay, for example, it's very easy to go and see cancer gift related keywords, the amount of search volume on Amazon. If I wanted to focus on the kawaii niche, okay, so or creating a yoga mat specifically for kids, like the demand's there, you just need to know how to find it. So no, finding demand isn't difficult when it comes to a specific buyer avatar. You just need to know how to look for those keywords. So if it is the same Parmit, he should already know. But what I do when I find a specific product, let's just say I wanted to sell a candle, for example, then I would go and make a list. Okay, so what kind of candles can I make? Who uses candles? And then I see how I can then start, going after a very specific buyer avatar. Or if I did it the opposite, I said, okay, I want to start a brand for golf lovers. Okay, cool. So what products are being sold not for golf people, and I can make them for golf lovers? For example, that mug that was for golfers. So no, it's not difficult. You just got to think outside the box.
All right, the very last question is from Franco. Can I create a real bundle, so a new ASIN with 2 products inside, which are already sold individually? Is it useful?
Can I create a real bundle? Sorry, I wasn't listening. Can I create a real bundle, so a new ASIN with 2 products inside, which are already sold individually? So first of all, you can create a virtual bundle on Amazon where it's done like they're each sold separately and Amazon puts them together. It's not that amazing, but you could. But you can take 2 separate products. I mean, part of my brands are made from this, where I have, for example, an anti-aging product for the face and an anti-aging product for the neck, and I sell them separately, and I also sell them together. Is that the question, Lizette? Did you understand that correctly?
Yeah, I think, it's exactly what he meant, that if he already has 2 products that he is already selling, then would it be a good idea to actually bundle those together and start selling those together as a one product? So yeah.
So whether it would be a good idea or not, I don't know yet, because I don't know the product and the niche. But first of all, if people buy it together, then it could be smart. So for example, where may not be a good idea? If you sell a pillowcase with a unicorn on it and a pillowcase with a dinosaur on it, one focusing on girls, one focusing on boys, maybe it's not the best idea to then bundle them together because they're 2 different avatars. But if you sell a pillowcase, a unicorn one for a girl, and then a unicorn blanket for a girl, and then you bundle those together, then yes, that could be a smart idea because it's going after the same buyer avatar. So bundles have to make sense. But if you take a water bottle and you bundle it together with try to think of a exercise product. Let's just think of like a yoga mat. Not everyone cares about a water bottle that's buying a yoga mat. right? But if I have a pillow and I have a blanket and they both have unicorns on it and I sell them separately, it would be smart to also sell them together, for example. I hope that answered the question.
I hope so too. All right. I think we should end the conversation. It's over 1 hour. It was a lot of useful information. We have a lot of people saying it's lots of golden nuggets. Very good. Thank you. Thanks. Great presentation. This is Usman, maybe another of your students. I don't know. Thank you, Sharon. Great presentation. Let's see. Okay, thanks. I'm sorry, but how do I fulfill my already purchased lead people? Okay, this is, please write an email later on. Lior. All right.
Lior, leave me.
Lior, leave me.
I can
thank you
just
very
tell
much.
because it's Israeli.
Yeah, it's Israeli. Yeah. So one more time, can you give us one more time information? How can people, what can they get from you and where they can find you?
So you can find me on the Sharon Evan YouTube channel, or find me on Facebook or on YouTube, Instagram, and shalom to Lior as well. And you can go join my Facebook group, Amazon FBA Alphas, Private Label Domination, or you can go to my website to find out other stuff about me, sharonevan.com. And every Thursday, I am on Seller Sessions, the Seller Sessions podcast, the best podcast for Amazon sellers.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Thank you very much, Lisette. And now I would like to invite you to watch other video with Kian Golzari, where he talks about product development for Amazon FBA.